There is no military expert.
Senator Mike Gravel served the great state of Alaska from 1969 to 1981. Then he dropped off the radar for a while, until 2008, when he ran for the Democratic nomination for president and earned a few new fans with his weird super lefty campaign. After that, he disappeared again.
Weird super lefty. Running on an anti-war platform is super lefty, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that was 2008. It was a different time. If this is your first time seeing it, this is a campaign ad. Yes. Yes. It was directed by David Lynch. That part's not true. I added that part. It was not directed by David Lynch. But it might as well have been. This definitely looks like a David Lynch campaign ad. This is still part of the ad. The ad is still going. The ad is 2 minutes and 51 seconds. I will play it in its entirety. Pretty glorious. I just want to do a quick little segment talking a little bit about the man, the myth, the legend, show you some of the highlight reels of his life, his greatest moments, his amazing achievements, his incredible accomplishments, and the legacy, of course, of the Gravel Institute, which is effectively becoming probably the best pushback the left has on PragerU's style of YouTube shareables. That's the official term, and I'm going to stick by it. We live in an age of a lot of conflicting ideologies, and there used to be a time, thank you, Modest Days. There used to be a time when nationalism wasn't just a question. It wasn't just Stephen Crowder asking everyone to do the Pledge of Allegiance every single time they do an episode. Vic won, thank you. Nationalism used to kind of be a requirement, especially during the McCarthy era, because you were either pro-America or you were commie. So everyone had to be pro-America, and that really fell apart post the Nixon era for a handful of reasons. Nixon inherited the war in Vietnam, of course, but propagated it and elongated it. This obviously came to a head. And Mike Gravel ended up doing something incredibly courageous, which was release a bunch of documents that allowed the world to see the extent and depravity of U.S. interventionism. He broke down crying after 1 a.m. reading them for days straight. Then, as the only person present besides the chair, he used unanimous consent to submit them to the record forever. That's pretty incredible.
Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just play get out.
Anti-war champion and former Democratic Senator for Alaska, Mike Gravel, has passed away at the age of 91. Now, Gravel represented Alaska from 1969 to 1981, but made waves in both 2008 and 2020 when he ran for the Democratic Party nomination. Now, instead of just telling you why Mike Gravel was so awesome, I'm going to play a couple of clips. So this first one here is a clip from the 2008 Democratic primary debate where Mike Gravel just sets the stage on fire.
At a forum earlier this year, I want to get this right, you said it doesn't matter whether you are elected president or not. So then, why are you here tonight? Shouldn't debates be for candidates who are in the race to win the race?
Ryan, you're right. I made that statement. But that's before I had a chance to stand with them three times. It's like going into the Senate. You know, the first time you get there, you're all excited. My God, how did I ever get here? Then about 6 months later, you say, how the hell did the rest of them get here? And I got to tell you, after standing up with them, some of these people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm President of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top-tier ones. Top tier ones. They've made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just plain get out. Just plain get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, these soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. And you know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain is more soldiers dying in vain. That's what's worse.
Here is a great example of how Mike Gravel was a trailblazer. Here he is back in 2007 at the time for the 2008 Democratic primary. On that stage, discussing how the U.S. should not be in Iraq while being laughed at by the other candidates. So you have these people, whether it's a Mike Gravel, whether it's a Bernie Sanders, who have been consistently on the right side of history. No one takes them seriously, and it takes, the general public 20 plus years to finally acknowledge that these people were right at the time. Now, here's another example of that. So this from the AP. Gravel's Senate tenure was also notable for his anti-war activity. In 1971, he led a one-man filibuster to protest the Vietnam-era draft, and he read into the congressional record 4,100 pages of the 7,000-page leaked document known as the Pentagon Papers, the Defense Department's history of the country's early involvement in Vietnam. And here is a clip from that in 1971.
Can anyone doubt that these are agonizing times for America? Can anyone doubt that this nation is being torn apart by a war that sears its conscience? A terrible shadow of suspicion is across the land. Suspicion that we have made a terrible mistake, that we have spent lives and wealth in pursuit of an unworthy goal. I did not seek these papers. When they were offered, I accepted them. I have reviewed the papers in my possession and read much of the material. It is a remarkable work, to say the least. Remarkable for what it says about those about those chiefly responsible for managing our efforts in Southeast Asia in 19.
Oh, I thought I put that in the thing. Oh, okay, then yeah, I misspoke. Sorry, I meant Pentagon Papers.
Mike Gravel there, unlike most politicians, has an actual record of being on the right side of history. Now, as I said, he ran for the 2020 Democratic primary and did qualify for the debates, but was not let on stage. So I was reminded of this by this tweet from Mike from PA, who said, "Don't anyone forget that the DNC changed the rules to keep Senator Mike Gravel off the debate stage and then later changed them again to get billionaire Michael Bloomberg into the debates." This is 100% true and absolutely crazy that he was not allowed on the stage. Just a quick overview of that. He reached the donor threshold to qualify for the July debates. The DNC at the time not letting him on, even though their criteria says here that you need either 65,000 campaign donors with at least 200 donors in 20 different states or poll above 1%. Mike Gravel met this threshold. And candidates that only met this threshold, polling above 1%, like Bill de Blasio, were allowed to debate, were allowed to be on stage, but Mike Gravel was not. And then later on, Michael Bloomberg,
You know why.
the only candidate to give money to the DNC, they just changed the rules to let him on the debate stage. Now, a few last things here. Bernie Sanders tweeted out, Jane and I are saddened by the passing of Senator Mike Gravel. He was dedicated to ending forever wars and bringing more Americans into the political process. His courage will be deeply missed. Our thoughts are with his loved ones. And in 2020, of course, Mike Gravel endorsed Bernie Sanders. Clearly, you know, two people here have a long history of being fighters for the working class, being anti-war, and being stand-up guys in the sense that they actually have principles. I mean, how often do we see politicians pretend to want to help people, pretend to campaign on a message of standing up for the working class, and ultimately, of course, they don't, and just sell out to massive corporations and the wealthy. But here you have Mike Gravel, who did stand up for people and did so his entire career. Last thing here I want to end on. The Gravel Institute, which, by the way, fantastic YouTube page. Check it out. They have a lot of videos breaking down various issues. Here they tweeted out, we are sad to announce that Senator Mike Gravel passed away peacefully, surrounded by family at his home in Seaside, California. He was 91 and had lived the fullest life anyone could have ever wanted. We will miss him every day. Mike Gravel, a trailblazer and champion for the people. Rest in peace.
Great little segment. Now we should just keep watching his campaign ad.
Made that statement, but that's before I had a chance to stand with them Vietnam died in
We watched the whole thing already. All right, we watched some of this as well. Oh, what does Klinsky say? He'll probably be good.
Exceedingly rare that you get somebody in a position of power who you know has a good heart and a good soul and actually cares about things that matter. Oftentimes, these positions are filled with corrupt careerist hacks, malignant narcissists, people who, deep down, are not that great. Well, Mike Gravel was the former, not the latter. He was a person who was a senator, and he actually had a conscience, and he cared deeply about what went on in the world. He just passed away at the age of 91. As of right now, the cause of death is not being reported, although I don't know how much you need a cause of death at the age of 91. It could simply be old age, but who knows, it might be something else as well. I'm really unsure. This news just broke. He really was unique and heroic. So for those of you who don't know his story, he worked to end the draft that kept feeding the Vietnam War, which of course is colossally important. The Vietnam War was a horrendous war. We should have never gone into that war. And he was one of the few. Now remember, early on, it was rare to speak out against it, but this is somebody who did. And he also used his Senate immunity when no other senator, even other nominally anti-war senators, would read the Pentagon Papers. He read them into the Senate record. So he used his Senate immunity to do something that nobody else would do. And remember, the Pentagon Papers, that's like, think of that as like the original Chelsea Manning, Julian Assange exposing war crimes scandal, where we learned that the United States of America was using napalm and Agent Orange and just absolutely massacring villages full of landless peasants in Vietnam. So we were killing civilians as a matter of standard operating procedure. And when we learned about that fact, nobody wanted to report on it. Nobody wanted to discuss it. Everybody wanted to hide it. And the government definitely didn't want that to get out. So you needed the heroism of Daniel Ellsberg and the heroism of Mike Gravel and the heroism of a select, handful of others in order to expose this. So truly an American hero, stayed true to his principles throughout. Now, I was critical of him recently when he was running for president this most recent election, because I'm not a big fan of I'm going to run for president, but I'm going to admit up front that it's symbolic. I don't actually want to win. Well, then, in my opinion, you almost sort of undermine the causes that you're trying to push. I'm not saying that's purposeful. It's an inadvertent side effect when you run for office and you say, but I'm not actually trying to win. Okay, then just don't run. Okay, so I was critical.
Well, the purpose was he wanted to push all the other candidates further to the left. And then I think he immediately endorsed Bernie Sanders as soon as it dropped out.
Of that, but putting that aside, he made what was a more credible run in 2008. He didn't win. He didn't do particularly well in terms of the numbers, but he made a run in 2008 where he got on that debate stage and he just absolutely eviscerated everybody around him, and he exposed the sham of the 2008 Democratic primary. Of course, Barack Obama went on to win that primary and then win the general election, and then unfortunately continued the wars, which is sort of like the point that Gravel was making, which is like, all these people up here are frauds. all the top tier ones scare the shit out of me, and they should scare the shit out of you too. So rest in peace to Mike Gravel. He's definitely an American hero. And what I want to do now for you guys is play one of those amazing debate moments from the 2008 Democratic primary,
which we have already seen. I will show you a little bit of the interview that Dylan Burns was gracious enough to give me. And of course, this was before I seem to have learned how to mirror my camera. So instead I've mirrored the interview in the corner here, which is just a class act, Lance. Way to make this whole thing way noisier than it has to be. At least I look okay back then. I was so young.
I did want to follow up because you talked a little bit about your relationship with Joe Biden and how you liked the man. I was reviewing the 2008...
Dylan got his start working for the Mike Gravel campaign. He's a Gravel-tine, one of those.
Democratic debate, where you had quite a fiery interaction with Miss Clinton and Joe Biden. I think, would you like to tell the story about what happened there?
Well, what I was asked the question by the moderator, why are you here running as an old man, and where do you see the problem? And I turned to I said, I see the problem with all the front runners. I mean, they scare me. They scare me to death, and it's frightening. And he said, what? Well, here they were the day before, before AIPAC, genuflecting and making statements that everything's on the table.
Applesauce, thank you.
We're the only nuclear power that talks in terms of first strike. And so when you're telling the financial interest of Israel and AIPAC that you're prepared to use nukes, and right today, Netanyahu and the Israeli community is asking us to intervene as much as possible. So if you get the sound to go with that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'd be able to play it so we'd all hear it simultaneously, but I could.
Listen to how terrible my audio quality is. It's so scuffed.
If you send it over to me quick, I can play it on my screen.
All right, I'll send it to you.
It's wonderful.
Well, I got a little more hair there.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let everyone see what an incredible moment. It's what the kids call based. Is what they're referring to.
Well, I'm not familiar with it, but if that's what you want to call it, fine.
The youth's lingo.
I got to teach Mike Gravel based. Oh, poggies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm gonna play this quickly on stream so everybody knows what we're talking about for a moment. We'll be right back.
Senator Gravel, a chance. Senator Gravel, I've listened to you very carefully in this campaign. You were in the Senate.
You're one of the few that has.
You were in the Senate, and you take credit for stopping the draft. If you were a senator right now, what advice would you give your colleagues still in Congress about how they can stop the war, even though they don't have enough votes to stop a debate or to override a veto? What should they do?
Well, the first thing, you stop the debate by voting every single day on cloture. Every day. 20 days, and you'll overcome cloture. The president vetoes the law. It comes back to the Congress, and in the House at noon, every single day, you vote to override the president's veto. And in 40 days, the American people will have weighed in, put the pressure on those. You tell me that the votes aren't there, you go get them by the scruff of the neck. That's what you do. You make them vote.
Senator, are you suggesting that these candidates suspend their campaigns, go back to Washington, and for 40 consecutive days vote on the war?
If it stops the killing, my God, yes, do it.
Tim.
And Tim, you're really missing something. This is fantasy land. We're talking about ending the war. My God, we're just starting a war right today. There was a vote in the Senate today. Joe Lieberman, who authored.
And Luna Diana, yeah, like obviously, like any historical figure, there's going to be a lot of controversies. Like he did go through a 9/11 truther phase as well. That's not to say that I don't want to also highlight, some of the incredible things that he did on the world stage, just by virtue of utilizing what power he had as a senator.
The Iraq resolution has authored another resolution, and it is essentially a fig leaf to let George Bush go to war with Iran. And I want to congratulate Biden for voting against it, Dodd for voting against it, and I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it. You're not going to get another shot at this, because what's happened, if this war ensues, we invade, and they're looking for an excuse to do it. And Obama was not even there to vote.
Senator Clinton, I want to give you a chance to respond.
Those are my salad.
I just wanna compliment you for the youthful vigor you've shown here, and I do want to say that you had a very interesting debate style. You was 100% of ruthless aggression. You were dropping power bombs the whole debate. Were you ever sitting there like, oh, what if I'm too abrasive about this topic, about the topic of war and peace?
Well, I had people, friends of mine, calling me and say, well, maybe you ought to tone it down. I kept saying, well, I'm so angry. It just pisses me off no end. And so I just can't control myself. The anger is legitimate, and the criticism is legitimate, because the Democratic Party, here, right today, you wonder why the Democrats didn't do all that well. Most of the money that they got was from Wall Street.
Oh, to someone asking, yeah. So this is when I was broadcasting in a literal closet in my place. Like around here is the doorway to my old apartment. And so if you walked in, this was actually supposed to be a storage closet. It's where the original surf set was. But you know, things have come a long way. We got plants. Now we got plants. Send help, it's so hot. It's hot. Oh yeah. I don't know if you're on the West Coast. The West Coast it's literally melting. All of us, we're melting in real time. But as I've said before, it's the coolest. It's the coolest summer for the rest of your lives. So enjoy that. Enjoy that sweetness, you know, that wonderful sinking feeling. It's 91 Fahrenheit in my apartment. Wow. I've got wind blowing on my face, so that's helping. It's helping. Chico is so hot that he's just lying in the dark in the hallway, not even on his mat, because he doesn't want that. Just lying on the ground, trying to suck up the ground heat.
Your bets on Trump, and they recognize how Trump was just an idiot. But so that's the reason why they were so supportive of the Democratic Party. And the people sense this. They sense that the party is beholden to the elites, whether it's the Democrat or Republican, and that's the reaction. The solution, and I really want to emphasize it, the solution is for the people to become sufficiently informed about direct democracy that they will act upon that information to empower themselves as lawmakers.
It's true. It's all true. I had to put this on incognito mode because the squirrel blocked me for very, very mild comment.
Actually, a better question, George. If you had to be dropped on a desert island for the rest of your natural life with either a living Margaret Thatcher or Tony Blair, which one would you choose?
Choose Tony Blair, and I would promptly strangle him.
George!
Oh, that's so disgusting.
George! Actually,
That's disgusting. How could one say that out loud? As a national hero. He got us into the war. We wouldn't have even been in Iraq if it not for Tony Blair.
Round the time the funeral was starting in London.
Did you think she did any good? Not a bit of good. Not a bit. I put a stake through her heart and garlic round her neck to make sure she never come back.
Isn't that a pretty horrible thing to say when her funeral's going on right now?
Too bad, too bad.
She pulled the ladder up behind herself and never helped another woman, ever. So
but didn't she show that a woman could become Prime Minister? Nobody'd done that before.
Do you want a woman like that that's a warmonger and rips the heart out of a country? Is that what you want for a Prime Minister of any sex?
Based Scots.
My name is Mike Gravel. I'm former senator from the state of Alaska. I served from 1969 to 1981. I ran for president in the
2008 election cycle.
There is no military expert.
Senator Mike Gravel served the great state of Alaska from 1969 to 1981. Then he dropped off the radar for a while, until 2008, when he ran for the Democratic nomination for president and earned a few new fans with his weird super lefty campaign. After that, he disappeared again.
Weird super lefty. Running on an anti-war platform is super lefty, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that was 2008. It was a different time.
Nowadays, he lives in California. He's 88, and a group of kids are about to give him another chance to be a thing.
How are you?
So excited to meet you.
Please meet.
Hi, I'm Henry.
You're Henry.
Hi, I'm Ben.
The funny thing about this is that it kind of transcended a particular interest. It just seemed too exciting of an idea to not do.
None of the people at this table want Mike Gravel to be president, including Mike Gravel.
Yeah, I don't want to be president.
Yeah.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
The plan is to get Gravel enough donors to make the 2020 Democratic debate stage, and then poke Democrats with extremely lefty takes.
Nothing's happened in my issues in 10 years. And that's what persuaded me to give you my Twitter account. and you're just using me.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being used.
A little more to your left. There.
The massively online team is a relatively new addition to American politics. They exist both on the left and the right. They're the kids posting memes all day long and swarming to attack people they think are lame on Twitter. They have a cynic's detachment and an idealist's optimism, often in a single internet post.
So shocking. Cut!
I feel like you guys
power.
are at the epicenter of a
meme
part of
culture war.
politics that a lot of people are confused by. It's jokey, but it's serious. But they hate everything. But they love the country and want to change it. You know what I mean? Like, how many of the donations that come in are for 420?
Quite a few of them. Quite a few. Our average donation is somewhere between $1 and that. Young people care about these issues. And
Yeah, the framing's ridiculous, Vice. Like, yeah, it's so conflicting. How can you say you love your country, but at the same time you don't support the military and you want to end interventionism, but at the same time, America? It doesn't make any sense to me.
the language they use to talk about it is not the language of politics we've seen in the past. And I think a kind of postmodern understanding of the world, which is to say, I care about things and I want to make the world better, but also it's fucking absurd. It's terrifying. And our president stands in front of, hundreds of hamburgers in the White House and grins and gives the thumbs up. And you want to say that politics isn't comedy?
This is the tweet that we're gonna send out, right? So just turn to the camera and just say, "Drill's got nothing on me." Okay?
Drill's
got nothing on me.
What's drills?
Just drill.
So,
Drill
we'll
is a
explain it
Twitter.
afterwards.
I'll explain it afterward.
And drill's got nothing on me.
That's so perfect. That's
Gravel, weirdly, is kind of perfect for this moment in a lot of ways. He was a staunch leftist decades before it was cool. In the Senate, he became famous in 1971 for reading the Pentagon Papers into the Senate record, effectively declassifying it.
Who the hell are we gonna nuke? Tell me, Brock.
Back in 2008, he became famous again for basically sticking it to any Democrat who crossed his field of vision.
Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top tier ones.
Also, he's kind of a wacky old guy, which is very popular with a particular kind of young voter these days.
So why is it that I am always talking to young white guys like you?
Yeah, the founder of the Gravel Institute. What he basically did in the latter half of his career is, as this documentary is showing, he let a team of young activists kind of take over his social media. They obviously use a lot of his, financial backing to be able to start the Gravel Institute, and they've been using it to effectively try and run counter narratives to PragerU and all the weird disinformation that they push out. So it really, really good moves, very late in your career too.
And your political heroes are these really old white guys.
I think there's a sense in which what young people...
Such weird framing. Like, that's conservative id poll right there. It's like, so on the one end, you're saying that you want change, you want equality, that you want to abolish whiteness, that you want to abolish white supremacy, that you understand that race is a myth, all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, really seems like y'all are preoccupied with old white dudes, okay? Like Mike Gravel, Bernie Sanders. Well, what does that say? You say you want equality, and yet you're working on the behalf of old white men. So, which is it? Choose your way, Western kids.
Heroes are these really old white guys.
I think there's a sense in which what young people care about is earnestness. And the people who are most able and most willing to get out there in a big way, I think, are people with privilege, right? It's a lot of young white guys. And at the same time, I think it's wrong to portray the movement as only being that.
So I'm a huge supporter of people like AOC and Abrams, these newcomers, but I think it's important that we can rally behind these people who have been proven time and time again to stand on the right side of history.
Is that David?
Gravel, the candidate.
Gravel, his wife Whitney, and his young campaign team talk through the Gravel 2020 platform.
Are you guys ready to begin?
David Ox, the 17-year-old campaign manager, Skypes in from his parents' house in Westchester County, New York.
Our first issue is re-Syria.
Oh, out of Syria, not of Afghanistan, and out of Iraq, and out of South Korea, period, all of them.
And if you have any thoughts on forgiving student debt?
Oh, God, wipe out all student debt. I think it's criminal.
David, you missed abolish ICE.
Abolish ICE, that's an important one.
Good, okay. Done. We agree to that one. Push them down the stairs.
Yeah, Bernie has
prostitute themselves online.
Turning Gravel into a kind of living, breathing leftist tweet is proving tough. The kids are doing their serious irony thing on Gravel's account all the time. It's great for Gravel the tweet. The kids have added thousands of followers to the account since they took it over. But Gravel the human doesn't like it. The largest result of your campaign so far has been, it's basically the most negative campaign in the Democratic field. I mean, you've attacked all the candidates running for office. Yesterday, they put a tweet up about Cory Booker. I mean, it's a constant kind of negative.
They put something up on Cory Booker yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They put here, I'll read it to you. If you want a vision of the future under Cory Booker, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. And every once in a while, it stops for an inspirational lecture about how we should never stop dreaming.
Well, I think I've got to call them on that.
The second issue is that human Gravel loves talking about things that people controlling the Twitter version of him do not want him to talk about. There has been some question about your feelings about 9/11. Can you just help to clarify what your position is on that?
I'm very clear. I think that there's elements, it was an inside job. Now, there had to be somebody that was planting the explosives in these buildings, which came down by controlled demolition. We know from science and physics that it wasn't the airplanes that brought it down.
So where were you found out that Mike Gravel was a 9/11 truther?
How he became an...
Hey, Hoverboxin, please recycle. Thank you for the 407. BC Old Church Solidarity from Brampton, Ontario. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, it's like any figure. There's going to be complicated elements of his lineage and his past. That's not to say that I don't want to honor the positive parts of his legacy as well.
9/11 truther, and where that came from was a genuine and profound skepticism of everything that resulted from 9/11, right? And, absolutely, neither of us are 9/11 truthers. Both of us think that the senator is and was gravely misguided on this issue.
But this is where it gets kind of real, right? This is where the joke becomes very serious, because as you're out there pushing these agendas that are very important to you about healthcare and criminal justice, reporters like me are going to keep saying, yeah, but the guy's 9/11 truther. Like, you're going to tie this to 9/11 trutherism? Is all these things that you care about?
I think it's because in a lot of ways, media narratives can't escape individuals, right? It's not about him, and it's also not about us. It's about...
But are you also going to push for the things that he was also fighting for? Are you going to talk about things like ending U.S. imperialism? Is that going to be a topic? Is there going to be a Vice documentary on that? Are you going to do a hit piece on, say, Joe Biden or something like that? Talk about the 1994 crime bill? Is that in the cards?
About the people who support what we're saying, and it's about our ideas. A movement has nothing to do with individuals, really.
that as you get the money coming in...
The kids don't think the 9/11 stuff matters. Fine. What about the fact that a guy who was enjoying retirement is now a human troll tweet and doesn't even know it? There are people who know you, have known you for a long time, remember you from 2008. Some of them are worried that these teenagers are taking advantage of you to play a joke on the Democratic Party just at a moment when everything should be very, very serious.
First off, it's no joke. The issues we're talking about are real. As a legislator, I've used people all my life. And so if they're using me for what they believe in, which happens to be the same things that I believe in, then, boy, Katie, bar the door. We want to do more.
Yeah, exactly. That's the comedic term.
Even for a hit piece, they still come off looking good, I would say.
Hey, do you like movies? Do you like Serfs? Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs the cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, you know, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like, just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and VK Jehannam, we are prepared to commit human sacrifices for your eternal glory. To our monarchs, the Tim Caucus and Tom Spiker, we are humbled to be your oafish jesters, clowning around in your royal court. To our lords, Evan Nudie, Tofox, Ryan Lubin, Trevor R., Jeff Lamb, and Alexander Thaler, we shall proudly carry your standard onto the battlefield and die for your precious land. To our esteemed Knights of the Round Table, Dark Puppy, Jenna Towell, Anna Loves Riley, Quiet 185, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojak, Saren 42, Chronic to Hemphog, The Great Pudini, Bone Genie, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramona Costa, J. Fraser Cartwright, Jimmy Bignuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Yopi, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our glass, we raise our swords, and we salute you.